What up? What up? What up? It's Ibn Webb, Quran, the Sum here. Fish for Thanks staying here. I'm doing Dwayne Simpson. I know him as Swoop. A lot of us know him as Swoop. Man, just have an opportunity to meet Swoop in college and just, us befriending one another here and just seeing what that done grown to, pretty much family here. Just and again, he don't watch me grow up. I don't watch him grow up. Seen him go through some things, what have you here. Also, athlete in his own right here as far as a lot of things, did and continue to do. And, father now, husband now, man, where the time is gone here. So just have an opportunity to hear a little bit of his walk, maybe one or two things I don't even know about him, but be curious to just sit here and just kick it with him. So hold tight. But what's up, man?
Ain't nothing much, man. How you doing? You good?
I'm good, man. I appreciate you, squeezing me in here, man. I know life got us going all different directions or what have you, man. So I appreciate this.
No, it's all no. I always fun chopping it up with you. You know what I'm saying? We go way back, so it's all good, man. It's all good.
Yeah. Now, first and foremost, man, the family, everybody. Safe and sound. Everybody doing well. Your parents particularly, man. I know, even particularly your father, man. Hope he's doing a lot better here. Made a turn for the better here. But just everybody, hopefully everybody's safe and sound.
Yeah, no, everybody's good, man. My mom is living a retired life down in Florida. My dad is doing much better now.
Good.
He had his surgery and everything, so he's good. And everybody here at home base, we all good too. So I appreciate that. Everybody with the family good with you as well?
Yes. No, we good, man. We good. Figuring out, navigating, having fun while doing it.
That's dope.
Yeah, man. So I'm getting a little nosy here, man.
Go for it. Let's get it.
I know you like, damn, like I got interviewing me, talking. Yeah, yeah. And I don't even like to talk. So for me doing all this stuff is crazy.
I love it, man. I'll be watching the episodes, man. I love it, man. I love it. It's good, man. You connected with folks and chopping it up with them, and I think it's really dope, man. So
cool. That's cool, man. I'm gonna take you up north. I know you down in the dirty South these days, man. But like, Are you born in Jersey or you?
Yeah, born in Jersey, New Brunswick, New Jersey. Actually, I'm from a place called Franklin, New Jersey, which is right outside of New Brunswick. Mm-hmm. Born and raised, right there in Franklin Township, between the Parkside and the Grove, if you know anything about that.
Okay. Nah, that's what it is, man. How childhood, man, everybody's definition is normal. They said normal is different here, man. But was it normal to you here as far as your childhood? Anything, man? Like anything?
I mean, what do we consider normal, right, Ev?
I know.
We grew up watching the Huxtables, right? And is that normal, right? Because we didn't have that, right? So but it's life. I think that we get dealt the cards that we get, and we just got to try to make the best out of it. And the great thing about that I would say is that, man, I've always had a great village around me, right? Mm-hmm. My mom, and she had always had help to make sure that I was on the right path and supported and felt loved and all that good stuff. So,
what kind of child were you, man?
I was a bad kid.
Yeah.
I was bad. So, I was hyperactive. So as a hyperactive kid running around, especially in those days, this is before they diagnosed people with ADHD and all that stuff. So I was just a bad kid getting whoopings, right? And in those days, my parents are West Indian. So, and mostly everybody we grew up around was West Indian. So it was never something for somebody that you knew to basically smack you. Yo, what you doing? So, but it was good because I ended up I wouldn't say that I was, I just was into stuff, man. I was just everywhere. They would tell me to sit still. I wouldn't. I'm, climbing out of windows, jumping off the terrace, doing stupid stuff, throwing matches at people out the window, just dumb, stupid stuff, man. Like, so.
Nah, and as you're saying and just sharing that, obviously the whole rap thing I talk about in a sec, but one of your lines come to play I was like, oh, so that line was really true here when you was like, this close from Ritalin.
Right.
Okay, so that's pretty accurate, huh?
That's a fact. That's a fact.
Okay.
Yeah, man. It was so they actually, man. So it's this is crazy, man. But we're gonna dive into it. But like, I actually took a psych eval, man, when I was younger, and my aunt, she was a nurse at the time, and she was anti putting kids on drugs, and she was like, "No way,
Yeah.
they're not gonna put them on any kind of Ritalin or anything like that." And yeah, they just didn't make it happen, man. And I actually have a cousin who was diagnosed, and he was on those kind of drugs from a little kid, and you could just tell it just kind of altered his personality, So bless, man.
How did you activities and all that stuff wind up just balancing you out, getting involved in things?
Yeah, so so one of my mother's my mother is a quoter, right? So one of her famous quotes is, idle mind leads to idle hands, or something like that, right? So her thought was like, we're going to keep you involved in every single thing possible, right, under the sun. And I really like to do things, like I said, like, so she just basically, like, at a young age, it was, you go outside and you do everything with the kids in the neighborhood, right? Where we lived at, it was tons of kids, maybe 50, 60 kids in the area, right? And so you're playing tag, your football, baseball, all that stuff, and basketball, and then, like, as I started to get older, then I started to get into the church, and then church activities, and recitals, singing in the choir, all type of stuff, like, so she just was like, keep him busy, keep him doing things, and that way he won't get into the wrong things, right? So,
Yeah. And then even obviously the church and church activities. What about just recreational? Did you do anything recreationally?
So I mean, I would probably say, like, so during the time that I was growing, like, so I'm gonna say, like, I want to go, like, I would say maybe fourth, fifth grade, around that time, right? There was probably a gap. So we grew up in the 80s, right? So there was a gap at that time where the older kids in the neighborhood started getting bad, right? And that's when, some guys were going one direction, some guys were starting to play Pop Warner football and running track and stuff like that. So that's the kind of, like, that probably was like a good transition for me, because my mother wasn't having it, right? Yeah. So, like, I had cousins and stuff and friends of her that were living the wrong life. So she was kind of like, all right, well, I don't even want you outside doing these other things, hanging out with these other kids. And, like, I tried out for track, tried out for Pop Warner. Oh,
you try to play football?
Tried to play football.
Yeah.
It wasn't bueno. It was like, I just wasn't, like, so my mother wanted me to do things, but like, she wasn't like, so I wasn't, so I was, you probably know, because you probably grew up in sports too. Like, I was like the kid that showed up for track or showed up for football in a pair of like Nike sneakers, right? And it was like, yo, like, you need some cleats. And my mother was like, I ain't buying you no cleats, right? Like, so there I go, right? And then I tried out for track, and I was actually, they had me started doing the triple jump, right?
Okay.
And I did the 400, and that was my first life lesson, man. I probably might, like I said, maybe sixth grade or something like that. And I was running the 400, and my first meet, you run in practice, you're just running with your friends and doing stuff, right? So the first meet, we were running in the 400, and I was in the 8th lane, right? So I'm in the 8th lane. I start running. I hit, you hit that straightaway quick, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, oh, I'm good. I might win this race, right? And then slowly, everybody passed me
Yeah.
by the time I got to the second turn, and I quit, right? Like,
well, after that race, you quit.
no, I quit during the race,
Oh man.
right? So I quit during the race. Like, I'm faking like I got a knee injury or something. I was embarrassed, right? And yes, and I was like, oh, my knee, like, and it was the first lesson I learned, man. Like, back in those days, you had the coaches was hard. They knew it wasn't coddling you, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're like, oh yeah, you're hurt? Okay, yeah. So I'm like, yeah, and it's like, they give you those life lessons, like, you can't quit, you got to keep running, and
right.
So that was the first time that I kind of learned that, you can't give up on things, man. You just got to like keep pushing, doing, trying your best, and so that was good for me. And so I did that, and I got into the park and recs and doing all that stuff, and I played basketball. I went to a Catholic school all my life, right? And I played basketball. I started playing in the 4th grade. That was like my sport of choice at the time. I was trying to do all these other things, and I was no good. I was trash, right? I didn't even like, we were playing in people's backyards at that time, right?
Yeah.
And right, so I was trash, and I got cut from the 4th grade team, and then.
Now, were you always tall for your grade?
No, I wasn't tall. I was probably average, so it wasn't short, but I was always skinny, right? Skinny. And big shout out to my coach, Ed Spencer, who's my middle school coach, great pillar of the community in New Brunswick, New Jersey. He was my 4th grade coach, and he said, you know how they have it, right? They give everybody uniforms, and then you just sitting on the floor, right? You like, I don't got no uniform, right? And then they give you that encouraging speech, right? So, kids is like leaving and they crying, and you know what I'm saying, this time. And I'm just sitting there because my mother was always late to pick us up, right? So I was like sitting in the Lyceum at the time, and it was just me and him talking, and his son. And he was like, yeah, do you have a basketball? And I was like, no, I don't even got a basketball, coach, right? So he gave me this, like, it was an indoor ball at the time. He gave me this basketball. It's like, all right, we'll take this basketball, practice. You're going to try out next year, and I want to see you come back be better, right? And by the next year, the ball was bald. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I'm outside. I'm dribbling everywhere I go, because I felt like I wanted to get better, right? So I'm dribbling everywhere. Like, now it's like, yo, we had a little hoop behind our apartment complex, like on the other side, and we, just it's like a half court. The joints leaning. You know what I'm saying? Right? We just out there, just me and my friends shooting, and I still didn't have any structure to what I was doing, right? But that's where the passion came from, that I like. I fell in love with the game at that time, man.
So you just kept from there on in. You wouldn't see you without a rock in your hand for the most part.
Yeah, because I would carry it to school, and it became like, at that time, basketball is big, right? There was a guy I was at my church, who went to the older guy, right? And he went to Georgetown. And played there when Pat Ewing was about Pat? Somebody was there, and he would come back, and he was like, I'm at Georgetown, and you're like, yo, Big East basketball. And then like, so it was like, oh, like you're looking up into this guy, like, and so it was just always, so then that's when I kind of, like I said, fell in love with the game. I think another probably monumental moment is I saw the Isaiah Thomas after school special. I don't even know, probably I was like 7th or 8th grade or something like that, right? You probably remember it, right? And how, like, Isaiah was like always carrying his ball around, and then like he like rose from the ashes of the hood to kind of like, you know what I'm saying? So like for me, I felt like, yo, like Isaiah, you know, like he's like, you know, he's like another idol. And then you're watching him at the Detroit Pistons, and I became a big fan of that. And like, you know, just like that kind of like Dennis Rodman kind of thing. And, you know, if I play hard, you know, and give all my all, then, you know, maybe I'll get, you know, some minutes, you know, like, but.
Now, how'd you do? Did you,
I was trash.
You go back and make the team the following year?
I did go back and make the team, but I was trash. So,
okay.
You know, I know if just you a star, you know.
Nah, far from it, man.
You know, I know your resume, right?
Far from
but,
it, man.
Like,
but yeah, so you went back and made it, but you made it though.
I made the team, got a uniform. I ended up, but I was the 32nd left in the game kid, right? Okay. Like, and the crazy part is that, and I didn't even like at the time, I was just probably so happy to be on the team. That's all, you know, we practiced, right? It's my friends, right? Like everybody was good. Like we were undefeated. We didn't lose a game till 8th, you know, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, undefeated. Won all the Catholic school, you know, Middlesex County championships, you know, like, so I'm part of this team playing with all these kids that are like really good, right? And I just didn't, you know, at that point, you don't really, you're just happy to be, you know, you get your little 30 seconds, they put you in, you know, you're like looking around, you don't even know what's going on, right? You know what I'm saying? So, you know,
that's crazy. But ultimately, you get to high school, and was you going? No doubt in your mind, you was going to the high school you ended up going to, or were you going to go somewhere else?
So you know how it is, and like, you know, so they're recruiting, right? In 8th grade, right? So like we had 2 6-footers on our team, which is like tall for like a 13-year-old at that time, right? So we had one guy went to St. Joe's, and another guy went to was it Bishop? I think it was Bishop R at the time, I think, right? Okay. Which are like 2 like big kind of like high school teams, right? In that Middlesex area. So they were like, you know, they would come and they was like, yeah. So I ended up staying at St. Peter's, you know, same thing. I still wasn't any good. I loved to play, right? I would play like probably every single day. Like we would go to the park and like, you know, I had that like outside running gun, you know, you shooting off one leg, shoot with 2 hands, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, that's like, I just love to play the game, right? So no skill set, right? Like I love to run. So that was my thing. Like, you know, I was the hustle guy. And my freshman year, St. Peter's at the time, we had a good program, right? So I saw JV, right? Didn't play a lot on JV my freshman year. I was trash, right? Like I was terrible, right? So, and you know, like again, like I just was happy to make the team, right? Like happy to be there. Like my coaches were great. Big shout out to Coach D. Like he was like, you know, he had that same kind of philosophy, like if you work hard, you're gonna get better, right? And so that kind of work ethic was kind of like instilled in me. And I was like, you know, he was like one of those coaches that was like 24 that did all the drills with you, right? Like they're running a suicide, they're looking back at you, let's go, right? And you're like, you know, and they're doing the wall jumps and all that stuff. So like, you know, you feel like, man, if he can do it, I can do it too, right? So, you know, it's all like, you know, and all my, like I said, the high school team was good. So most of my friends played JV with me. And I had a guy that was a freshman. His name was Dave Capers. He played varsity his freshman year. So we were like in awe of Dave, right? Like we was like, yo, Dave's playing varsity. And then Dave was starting. And then Dave was good. Like, you know, and we was like, you know, so this is a guy that he didn't go to school with us in elementary school, but you know, when he transferred in from the Bronx into high school, right? And so I'm like, man, this is crazy. These guys are good, right? And yeah, so then after that, man, like I like, you know, Dave was, you know, he was a good friend of mine. Like we used to hang out all the time, just on like just some chill stuff, you know what I'm saying? And you know, then I would start to see like, oh snap, like, okay, I gotta learn how to shoot a jump shot, right? Like everything is not put your head down and try to just jump up and throw up some, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I was like, oh snap, I gotta go left and I gotta go right, right? And then we had like this, him and I were very competitive, like Tecmo Bowl, throwing quarters, right? Like sliding caps across the table, right? Like, so everything with us was like a competition, like throwing, you know, balls of paper in a garbage can from across the classroom, you know what I'm saying? So like, so it all just, everything just became, so then now the competitive stuff, and then he was just like, you know, he was just way better than me. So I was like, you know, he's like abusing me, right? But like I said, I like was very competitive, and I always, you know, I was always like, damn, I gotta beat this guy, I gotta get this guy, right? And yeah, so it was like that our freshman year. And then I think that's probably the summer of whatever that summer was the turning point, right? For me. I went to North Carolina for the summer. And then, so I want to give you some visuals here, right? So now we're like, this is Family Matters time.
Yeah.
I used to wear the big, couldn't see, right? I used to wear the big glasses that my mother would buy me that I would hide in my bag because I wanted to be cool, right? I didn't play basketball in them. I can't see a lick without anything. I had braces from 4th grade to 9th grade, right? So I was typically like, you know, I was a funny guy, right? But I was labeled as like the Steve Urkel kid, right? So I go to North Carolina that summer. I discovered contacts, right? I got a pair of contacts.
Okay.
Right. My braces came off, right? I went to North Carolina. I think I experienced my first, like, because you know when you're Steve Urkel, nobody doesn't like you, right? You know what I'm saying? They're like, yo, then you that friend guy. Like the girls would call you, talk, and you like, yeah, you know, I really like that other guy. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
So I experienced my first, like, you know, adolescence crush, kind of like, you know, she liked me, you know, it didn't really happen, but like she liked me, I liked her, and
You turn into Stefan now.
Yeah, the little puberty's hitting.
Yeah.
And so my aunt, they had a basket in their driveway. And then my cousin, she was a senior, and her boyfriend was like a high school basketball player. So, you know, back in those days, if you want to go hang out, you got to take
the little one.
All the little ones.
All the young ones, yeah.
So we would go to the park. All of us is at the park, right? And you know, this guy, you know, I mean, he was just like, you know, he was like a man, right? He's like a senior. He was muscular, right? He could play, right? So now he's allowing me to play in their full court games with the older kids. I'm outside in the rain at my aunt's house shooting. Like, you know, I don't even think I realized that I was on a journey. I just liked to play, right? So, and I didn't even realize that I was growing because it was summertime, and you know, we were wearing shorts all the time, right? Like, and I got back to New Jersey right before school, and I got back to Jersey, and you know, you come back, everybody's like, "Oh snap, Dwayne, you look," you know, because now. Because before I used to have like the Dwayne Wade little box fade, right? And I got a round head, so it don't even look good, right? And then I realized I got the Caesar, the ball face Caesar with the J part. So I'm like, you know what I'm saying, feeling like I'm fresh now. And you know, I come to school and yeah, like people didn't even recognize me. They were like, I'm taller. I grew like 4 inches that summer.
Mm-hmm.
So now like I was probably like 5'9". I'm like 6'3" or something like that or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still skinny, still long, and still could jump and stuff. And then my coach was like, we had like a basketball meeting, right? If you want to try out, come meet the coach. So I go in there and they're like, we look like we got some new players in here. What's your name? I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm Dwayne's coach. It's me. Like, he's like, oh my God. He's like, where did you come from? He's like, I'm like, yeah. I grew a little bit, I think, right? He's like, oh yeah, you got tall. Da, da, da. And then from there, I think that's where it kind of like it started for me, that I realized that I might be okay in this game. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Yeah.
Nah, interesting. And so you come back, metamorphosis, everything. You start growing into yourself, man. And again, obviously, your team was good as well too, as far as just you just started competing. It sounds like from there on in.
Yeah, I started competing. So this is so they put me on varsity my sophomore year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then they put me on varsity my sophomore year, but I split, right? So you know how that is, right? You
Yeah, I played,
split,
was it 5 quarters,
right.
something like that, right? Yeah.
But then the coach was like, "Nah, I don't want him to play more than 2 quarters because I might need him." And you know how it is. You can, even if I go on for 30 seconds in a quarter,
That counts.
that counts, right?
Yeah.
So he was like, "Yeah, I only want to play in 2 quarters in JV, right?"
Mm-hmm.
So now in JV, I'm the guy now, right? Like
Yeah.
we got a point guard that came in from Queens. He had that like hezzy bit bop. Shout out to G Wright. He's like, ga. He's like, and now like all I want to do is just dunk, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, ah!
Yeah.
Right? So they're like, wow, like, but then on varsity, like, so in JV, all we did was this, right? We pressed, we ran. I was able to get in a lane, fill it, try to finish. So it's still right, because like you're still not working on your skills when you're doing that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you're still like just depending on your athletic ability. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So when I played varsity, then it was like a different thing. Like it was set this screen here, right? Get me some rebounds and block some shots, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like, we're gonna run these plays for these guys, right? And so, that was my role. And I knew that if I wanted to play, I had to do that well, right? So I wasn't even thinking about like, oh, I got the ball, I'm gonna start creating some shots for myself, or it wasn't even what I was thinking about at the time. So, and yeah, so I ended up, I didn't really play too much my sophomore year. Junior year, I started playing a lot of minutes my junior year, but then we got a guy that came in. I think he was top 5 freshman in New Jersey at that time, right?
Okay. Yeah.
His name was Tony Lee. He was from Perth Amboy. He was kind of like LeBron, right? Like point forward, athletic, you know what I'm saying? Could get the rebound, go to full length, dunk on you, you know what I'm saying? So then we had that guy. We had another, the point guard at the time, Kenya Merritt. He went to University of Maryland, UMBC. That's what it's called, right? University of Maryland, Baltimore County.
Mm-hmm.
Then we had another guy who went to Ryder. David, he was my year. He went to Bonaventure. Then Mellish came in. He was also a freshman. He ended up going to Manhattan. So we had a lot of players, right? And, the coach was great. Like Coach Green was like, he just had a great system. And then we just kind of like, we pressed, we ran. And at that time, we played Middlesex County, and then we played parochial B, right? So what were you guys? Parochial what?
I mean, I was B.
Oh, you was B too.
North Jersey, yeah.
Maybe we were parochial C then. Maybe we were parochial C. Because we didn't play any of those guys that you played, right?
But you was Central Jersey, so
Yes.
I think they had. I think it was North, Central, or South. I don't remember, but yeah, I think
Oh,
that's how they separate them. To folks kept advancing, and that's how the other folks in different parts of the state, I think, met up. So it was,
right,
yeah,
right,
I think it
right.
was something like that. Nah, it's crazy you mentioned all that. I mean, the players you was around, like summertime. That was AAU a thing, or going to camp a thing for you guys?
Not so I didn't do AAU until my junior year,
Okay.
right? So my junior year, like I said, even though I'm doing playing ebb, like I'm just happy to be, I'm happy to be in the room. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I'm like, oh snap, because I'm like, I know these guys are good. I'm like, all right, like so you have that mentality, like I just don't mess up, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like so I think that my junior year, my coach was like, because I was an average student, right? And not because I was dumb, but probably because I didn't do any work. I wanted to play around all the time, right? Like just doing dumb more, still doing
Yeah.
dumb stuff, right? And getting in trouble. And then my coach was just like, he just had one of them like, I'll get you in college. You want to go? Right? Like if you want to go, you got to show me you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, I said, I didn't have no plan for college. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't, I don't think I had any plans, period. Right. So my junior year is when he really put me on a track to like, we would get up in the morning, I'd ride my bike to New Brunswick, meet him at the at the Lyceum in the weight room, like before school, you know what I'm saying? Like be lifting weights, right? Had me on the after school, drinking like 4 banana shakes, protein shakes a day, right? Trying to put some weight on me, like, and then like, same thing. Like, so then when AAU became, big shout out to Larry Marshall. He coached like Andrew Bynum,
All those
like,
guys.
all those guys, like, so they put me on, that was a team Tony Lee would play on. I think they were called, I can't remember the name, but we played a lot of great talent. Like,
Yeah.
so, a lot of great talent. So AAU with that. And then my junior year going into my senior year, I went to 5-star,
So
right?
you got your orange shirt?
Got me an orange shirt, man. So, and I went to, so I didn't go the week, I went the week before the Superstars came.
Oh, okay.
So like, I was on the program where in that week, I was on that program where, you cleaning off the tables, pouring the juice in the, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
because, my mom wasn't paying for that stuff, right? But same thing. It's like, happy to be there, right? Like, I think I came in like voting second in rebounding my week, right? First was Malik Allen. He went to Shawnee.
Yeah, I know talking about, yeah.
And played for the Miami Heat. I think he went to Villanova.
Villanova,
right?
yes.
And on my team was this kid, man, Nate Johnson. He was from Camden.
Now did he go to Rutgers?
Louisville.
Excuse me, I'm mixing them up. Okay, got you.
Yeah. So, Ib. So this dude, man, like, we were playing in a game, right? This is the first time I was seeing stuff. So like we had some couple dudes from DC on our team. So like, this is like, you're just seeing all different types of players now, right? And like, so this dude, right? He came down, dude. It's the first time I ever seen anything like this, right? Dude comes down for the layup. He jumps, blocks it with 2 hands, right? Pins it on the backboard, right? Boom, and comes back down. I'm like, yo, what's like, you know what I'm saying? Like this type of caliber players, man. And he ended up, like I said, they would take people, and then they would like they would invite you to the next week, right? So like he went to the next week. I didn't go, but he did. He went to the next week, and so then I think that's when my confidence started to build a little bit, right?
I can see that, yeah.
then you start to say, man, I can play with these guys. Like, played against Tim Thomas. I mean, I'm just trying to think of big guys that I matched up with at that time. Because, we had guys like Celistan was in our conference. He went to Villanova. We had a good named Justin Bailey. He went to Hartford. So it was like a lot of guys, a lot of talent during that time. And just, just like I said, just trying to compete and, just try to like, hold my own at the time,
Now, once I know your coach talked about you getting into college, saying I could get you to just start resonating with you, like this is actually a possibility.
Yeah, I signed the first thing smoking. So they wanted me to I'm young, right? So I was young. I was 16 in my senior year, right? So they were like, this kid's got to prep. We get this kid to prep, right? So I used to get all these letters from like prep schools, right, or junior colleges, right? But that these things, some of these things don't come with scholarships, right?
Right.
And so I got a lot of Division II offers, like Northeast, like Lemoyne, Southern Connecticut, some in New Jersey. And I didn't want to stay in New Jersey. And then they were like, yo, you can wait to end the season and then you can sign, or you can sign now, right? So I remember Capers was like, yo, I'm gonna sign early, yo. Like, I'm not even gonna wait, right? So like, I think because he was gonna go to Bonaventure, because he wanted to go to Rutgers, but I don't know if they fell through. I don't remember what happened, but he signed to Bonaventure early. So I was like, yo, yeah, you're right, man. Let's just sign, right? And Southern Connecticut was like, yo, we give it to you. You want to sign? And I signed early. And I had a good senior year, right? But I think once again, like when you get that scholarship and then you're like, you get the scholarship, now your confidence level is enough, it kind of boosts a little bit more, right? Because you feel like I belong now, right? Like, so once again, but I was happy again. I didn't have no plan. Like, I'm following what my coach is saying. He's like, yo, now you gotta. So now the thing was like, you're going to college now. You gotta go there and do something. So don't stop working now, right?
That's right.
So yeah, we had a good senior. So our senior year was good. We played. We beat everybody. We beat them all, and then and we played St. Anthony's in the state championship game. Yeah, it's crazy. Like they had Ajamal Bassett, he went to UMass. Anthony Perry went to Georgetown.
Yeah.
A couple other big old. So I was a center at 6'6". Ajamal was like 6'9", 6'10". They probably had another big dude, another tall, skinny white guy. So I'm in the middle, like, like like, and I held my own, man, like, so I think we ended up losing by like 7 points or something like that. Something like that.
Okay.
So it wasn't a blowout. It was good, Yeah, good stuff.
I didn't obviously, I'm sure helping your mom out with that, with the college and everything else. I'm sure that was a weight lifted off of her, and I'm sure I can only imagine how proud she was too, man.
Yeah, she was very proud. Like, I don't think she understood what was going on, right?
Right.
I mean, in hindsight, right? If I probably would have prepped, right?
Okay.
I would have, I probably would have done that. But at that time, she was like, "You ain't going back to high school. You going to college. That's right. You got a scholarship. You're gonna go, right?" And so, but it's the path we, like I said, we dealt these cards and you just take them in, because there was so much more. I always felt like I was behind, right? Like, you know how you get, like, if I would have had one more year of high school, right? Like, I felt like, because that summer after high school, I played in this, it was like it was like kind of like a recruiting thing, right? This is a dude named Ed Butler, right?
Oh
So
no, no, Ed Butler, he's from Orange.
oh, you know Ed Butler, yeah.
Yeah, no, no, everybody know Ed Butler, man. Actually he's still doing that to this day. They just had it not too long ago.
EKB.
Yes. Now was it at the Dunn Center when
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
So it was like they invited all like, you know, so I ended up making the all-star team for the Middlesex County thing, right?
Okay.
And then and I ended up I made some other thing, right? Maybe it was honorable mention or something else, right? And they invited us to come to this thing, right? So it wasn't just kids who were like already signed, right? But it was also kids who were trying to get signed. They just wanted to have a whole bunch of talent there. And like it was at the Dunn Center, man. I was out like, you know, they put the number on your chest, you playing all day long.
Yeah.
And like, you know, I'm trying to take off on people. I'm like, you know what I'm saying? It was just crazy, right? And I just felt like I was just getting better. And now I had a move, right? Like I knew how to face up, you know, how to sweep through, you know what I'm saying? You know, create the shot like or get shots that I wanted to get, right? So, you know, much better. So
Nah, interesting, man. And then from Central Jersey to New Haven, Connecticut, man, like was it a whole new world for you? I mean, again, obviously you had, you know, being in that area, the city probably didn't throw you off too much, but just being in a different state, the freedom, mom's not around, like just how, I mean, you now 17 being up in there, man, just how was it for you? Just that whole transition.
my nose was wide
maturity-wise?
open, dude. My nose wide open. So like you gotta imagine my mother's strict, right?
Yeah.
I'm running from New Jersey, right? So I'm like, and then, you know, big shout out to Said Boogie and Big Greg Watts. They were my people for my recruiting visit, right?
Okay.
They took me to a Q party at Yale. I'm 16, right? You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I'm like, oh, this is crazy. Because, you know, like, you know, we snuck out as a kids, right? But we were only going to like, you know, teen clubs and, you know what I'm saying? Like house parties, right? Like now you're seeing like women, right? Like, and you're like, yo, is it like, so I'm wide open. Like my nose wide open.
Yeah.
I went to so I did a couple of visits, right? But nothing was like, the Lemoyne one was kind of close, but it was kind of like in the sticks out in Syracuse.
Out that way, okay.
And this one was like, you know, they took me to party there and stuff like that. But this was like the city, you know, I felt, you know, Said is a cool guy anyway, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So like, you know, he's got some swag. You like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like
New Yorker, New Yorker.
You know. So you like, yo, you know, I felt like, yeah, this is where I need to be at, right? So, and then when we played, they played that kind of style of basketball where it was running and pressing and, you know, so when we was hooping, I was like, yeah, like I can fit in here, right? Like Lemoyne, we played, they had like 5 shooters out, right? And like, you know, I'm like, so what y'all gonna just rebound for y'all and just kick the ball back out? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, but here it was like running and gunning and like, you know, kind of like the style of basketball that, you know, that I like to play. So, yeah, I was wide open, Ib. So, you know, but again, just happy to be there, right? Like, I made it.
Now, did that help or hurt you though, in regards to just happy to be there versus
always
like,
hurt. It always hurt.
Yeah.
Because I think that, I mean, it wasn't until I was an adult that I realized what was needed to be successful in the game of basketball, right? Like when you're happy to be there, you just kind of do what everybody tells you to do, right? Because you're just happy to be there. You're just like, yo, all right, man, yeah, just go down there, right? Rebound, you know what I'm saying? Or whatever, right? You've like I said, you know how it is. You've been in the lens of stardom, right? So you know when you the man, right? And the ball goes through you, right? You have to have a certain mentality that goes with that, right? Like I'm gonna get my shots. I'm gonna control the flow of this game. Like you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So if I use a comparison, right, I would say the opposite of who I was like Jermaine Carter, right? He played on our
I know about
So Tree was confident, you know, he was in his game, he knew how he was gonna get his shots off, he knew in the offense where he was gonna score from, you know, and like he's like, yo, like, all right, as you get old, you realize like you don't play defense every play, right? Like you understand, like you looking at it more like a chess game, right? Like, like, you know, so, you know, I think, yes, it definitely hurt me, the lack of, and I'm going to say something. I was confident when I came into Southern Connecticut, right? I was like, yo, like, I belong here, right? I think that, like, you know, but I think that the grind of it early on and not really having all the skills that I needed to be successful, just like glimpses of it, right? Like, I think that, and then not understanding how to get better, right?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So,
like, did that work outside of your regular practices and games? Was you putting it in? Like individually, was you like putting it in?
So I would say not in college. Okay. No. So like so I love to play, right? So there's a pickup game, right? We come in to work out, I'm there, right? I'm there 4 hours, 3 hours, right? Like, but like you want to be a player, right? You gotta put some time in dribble, pull back, jump shot, right? Like I'm gonna shoot 100 of these today, right? You know what I'm trying to say? Right. You got to put that kind of work in if you want to get better, right? Like, always was in good shape, right? I could always run the floor, right? Like, I could always jump, right? Block shots and do that kind of stuff. So that kind of kept me in the loop, right? And then I was risk averse, right? So then my mentality was, the least mistakes I make, right, the longer I could stay in here, right? So the reason I beat out all these guys to play is some of them were like, nah, you got 6, 8 guys that are like, nah, it's my turn to shoot threes. And then Larry's like, what you doing, right? Like, so I'm looking like, man, if I just set this screen, right, and then go get these rebounds, right, and go block these shots and don't turn the ball over, you know, he gonna keep me in there before these guys, right?
Yeah.
And you know, and then be tough, right? So like, so I didn't really care. Like throw me on the ground, I'm getting right back up. You know what I'm saying? So, and I think that's what kind of kept me in the thing. But, you know, it wasn't probably till like I said, till I was a senior, until I realized, like, you know, what I needed to do in order to get buckets and be successful, right? And then it's too late then, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you needed to start doing that as soon as you got there, right?
Even before that last year that you played here, a year or two before, man, you guys go on a little magical run, man.
Like,
the Ncaa tournament. How was that for you, man? Like during that time?
Unbelievable. So our freshman year, we come in. So you were there before us, and I don't even know what the team was like, right? But I don't think they were good, right? And we had, well, they weren't great. Well, I don't even say that, because they had some good players, like Will Cadiz, like he's unbelievable.
The lefty,
like, yeah, he's unbelievable. Like, I mean, they had players. I mean, even Greg was good, but I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was the synergy or whatever. But that year that we came in my freshman year, we had about, let's say our team was 20 players at tryouts. We probably had like 11 to 12 new people come in, right? transfers, JUCO transfers, right? We had like 5 or 6 freshmen, right? And so at the beginning, it was a war, right? So, you know, it was a war. Like practice was like, and Leary loved that. Like that's what Leary wanted, right? Mm-hmm. And we had guys from Stanford and Bridgeport, New York, Brooklyn. Yeah. So it wasn't even like we had these kind of guys that these guys was all like, it was rough. Like everybody was trying to get it, right? Mm-hmm. Like, so, and it wasn't, you know, sometimes you have the first team dominates the second team. It was like 1A, 1B.
Okay.
Right? Like, you know, and then the way that he had them mixed up, it was like, you know, this guy was here last year, so he's supposed to be on the first team, right? But now, you know, because Cadiz is gone, Sed is gone. So these all guys were like staples on that team before, right? Mm-hmm. So now we had this other kid, what's Rob's name? Robbie, that was Rob Thompson?
Thompson, guard, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Rob Thompson comes in as a freshman with us, right? So big shout out to Rob Thompson, the flyest guy I know. Right?
Rob was nice. Rob was nice.
Rob was nice, pulling up, you know what I'm saying, in a Beamer or whatever he was pulling up in, coming to practice with like Jordan, like on his, you know what I'm saying, like cool, and then come out there and like cook you, right?
Yeah.
And then he had the same kind of like push tempo. So now you got this team, this second team, which I'm on, that's creating this like, oh snap, right? So now they're like, yo, okay, we got to move Rob to the starting front lineup, right? Like, mm-hmm. So like, you know, Rob's in now, so they start mix matching people up, right? And then now it's even worse because now the friction is even worse because everybody thinks that, because you know these is battles. If it ain't like, man, like this first team is done, so everybody thinks like I'm better than you, right? Mm-hmm. So, you know, people fighting in practice. It's like they go on it, and then Leary's like, "Go, you gonna let him do that to you, right?" And then like we had another coach named Ice. Man, Ice is like, you know, he's like, you know, smooth, you know, coach walking up to you like, yeah, man, you know, you got to make some baskets, man. You gotta go dunk on them dudes. You know what I'm saying? Like, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it was just cool, man. So that first year, the seed was planted, right? We had, I think, Tim didn't come to our second year. So the first year, he came that first year. He was in the first year. So the seed was planted, and the first part of the year, it was after Christmas break. One of the dudes tried to kill Leary, right? And they kicked him off the team. That was Rob. We used to call him floats. Ron something, right? I can't remember his last name, right? But he was also nice. 6'8", jump out the gym, right? And so he's out. And people like Ron, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So then now, you know, I mean, we were like, dude, before the Ron thing, like I remember, like there was division in the team. Like, whatever, you want to fight me? Let's go in the locker room. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever, right? And then after the Ron thing, then it was like, it was almost like this thing that people felt like we needed to band together, right? Mm-hmm. Like, we all in this together, right? And I don't know who said it. I don't know how it went, but then like people like Tree, Tim, like Greg, Big Watts, they all started to take like a leadership like role and like banding everybody together, right? And I think we went on like a run. You look at this, like you think we probably was like 500 our freshman year in the beginning, and then at the end we like won like the last 12 games straight, and then we lost like the last game against like Southern New Hampshire, which we thought we got robbed. You know what I'm saying? So then when we came back our sophomore year, everybody was like, you know, everybody was ready to go. Like,
yeah.
And then we added a couple pieces. Like, we had a couple. We had like one piece, right? Well, we added two. We added Trimboli, right? And we added Big John was there the first year too. I take that back. Big John was there the first year, but he was playing behind Greg at the 5, right? Okay. And so he's playing behind Greg at the 5, but then he started playing at the 5. Greg had graduated. Now he's in the 5 full time. You know, John's 6'9". He had a nice soft touch around the rim. So then now coaches, they had different lineups now. Slow it down.
Yeah.
Then they would put like, you remember Lloyd? Put Lloyd in, put myself in. We're playing the top of the press, top of the 3-2, speed it up. Now you got guys like Jermaine and Tim, they're off to the races, right? So now it's like everything was just clicking, right? And then they held you accountable. And then we were all like in the same, like, you know what I'm saying? In the same vein, right? Because we felt we got robbed the year before. And then, you know, TJ is one hell of a player. He comes in, ice in his veins. You know, you look at him, you're like, look at his 5'7". At that time, he had like a skater cut. Like his hair was like flopping in front of his face like this. You're like, who is this little kid, right? And, you know, TJ was like, you know, unbelievable. You know what I'm saying? So
now, even back then, I mean, as you talk about you guys is advancing and moving on here. Now, what happened with the whole thing? You mentioned his name too, Robbie, as far as like that whole situation, because you had Rob, TJ, and Tim. Like,
yeah. So Rob, I mean, you know, Rob was, you know, Rob did Rob, right? So, you know, like, you know, I'm put his business, you know, Rob is just Rob, you know what I'm saying? Like, Rob is like, you know, he was just, you know, like I said, if I love Rob, man, I love his game. I love the way he played. Like, you know, I played with him in tournaments after this, you know, he's just like, you know, his hezzy game is out of control. His hands up game, like, you know what I mean? But, you know, Rob just did, you know, Rob was living his life. You know
got you. No, I got you.
You know, like he was doing, like, you know, Rob is Rob. Like I say. So, you know, Rob wouldn't show up some days. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, so, and then, you know, so it became that he wasn't, you know, always there, right? Or then they would kind of blackball him a little bit. Like, he should have been starting, right? You know, and then they did that sometimes. They had Rob start at the 1, Tim at the 2, you know what I'm saying? Big shout, I can't forget Jared Lewis.
That's right.
At the 3, right? Who was a player. Then you had Tree at the 4, and then you had Big John at the 5, right? So, like, you know, but then they shifted, right? And then now you started getting, because Lloyd, we call him the LOD, the Lord of Defense. Lloyd is going to lock everybody down. So now you can put Tim at the 1, who was a natural point guard. He loved to give that thing up, you know what I'm saying? And facilitate the team. And now you got Jared at the 2, who loves to shoot that thing, right? Right? So, and then Lloyd can hold down the defense at the 3, and he's athletic, you know what I mean? So it just was good. It was just really good. Like, and then now when TJ comes in, because so now TJ assumes that role that Rob was in, right? So now you can throw TJ in the mix in these lineups, right? And he's another, you know.
Another marksman, man. Like,
marksman, man. So I used to hate it, man. I used to hate you be running the floor, they come down a fast break and they shooting threes, right? when it's going through the net, you can't say nothing, right? You just go like,
Yeah.
all right, man. All right, cool. Run back down, right?
Yeah. And then that tournament run, I mean, were y'all was y'all expected to go as far as y'all did, or?
Um, I would say yes, right?
Okay.
Because we were ranked. We were ranked that year.
Okay.
We were ranked top 20 or maybe top 20 or top 10, and but it wasn't even about what anybody else thought, right? Because we had this chip on our shoulder, right? And um, those JUCO guys, like I said, Tim and Jermaine, they knew how to win,
Right.
right? So like, and then same thing with TJ, like they knew how to win, right? And I would say the same thing with myself, like we just know how to win. Like what I mean is like the effort that you need to put, right?
Yeah.
So like, you know, sometimes you play on teams and people just trying to get theirs, right? Like, but then there's people who sacrifice what, you know, Tim is hot right now. He got the mismatch.
Yeah.
So I don't get my 20 tonight. Who cares? Right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Same thing. Like, we know what we're gonna get. Like, so, and then the effort that you get from the guys like myself and like Lloyd and you know, the diving on the floor, right? Like, you know, D'ing people up and you know, all that stuff. That's like that stuff right there. Even Danny, man, like I almost forgot my main man, Danny Singleton, right? Like, yeah, man, like we knew that this is the level we had to be at. And then the chip on our shoulder on top of that, right? Like, and then like I said, the accountability, like, you know, it was like big brothers trying to, cause like, you know, we're still young, right? Big brothers trying to push you like, nah, Swoop, we need you to, we need this from you, right?
Right.
Like when you get in for these 10 minutes, right? Like it can't be like, oh, we're gonna start losing now. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, so, and most of the time, like, it was like the pedal was always to the metal. Like we would extend leads, right? And then like give the guys a break and they can come in and then they push it even further, right? So going into winning it all we expected it, right? And then we won the whole region. And we won the whole region. And then I think we did it at home, right? To go to Louisville, it was like, you know, like
I remember, man. Like I said, they shut some things down. They putting projectors up in Con Hall all over the place, man. Like to view the game. So just sitting back and just watching y'all, you know, do your thing, man. That was just great, just for the school and the area as well, too, man. So and actually for you to be in it, man, I can only imagine just being down there and everything else here, man. It sounded like y'all locked in and the camaraderie, everything else was there, man. So y'all just made that run, man.
Yeah. I will say the biggest, and it still haunts me to this day, man. Like the biggest disappointment is getting hurt on some foolishness before the game, right? Like I still have nightmares about that. Like, you know, like because it's like it's just stupidness, right? But then, you know, like I said, this is, you know, being played at just doing dumb stuff and like
you're supposed to be chilling the day before games.
Chilling.
That's a big game, man.
Happy to be there, right? Jumping around, acting stupid, right? And you know what I'm saying? Just like ended up, you know, horse playing around and hurting my shoulder. And it was terrible, man. Like, and the crazy part is I think I averaged 2.5 points, right? And we lost by 3. So if I would have played, maybe I would
have
maybe I would have got 2, right? Or it was 4. You know what I'm saying? So like, but yeah, man. But you know, as I look at the game, because you know the stuff that I did, I'm sure that I could have helped and assisted. Like they had a big guy named Kibu Stewart, right? Like, you know, I think he ended up getting drafted to the NBA that year, and you know, I could at least help slow him down. You know what I'm saying? Right? Like, so, yeah, man, it's just, it you know, it sucked. So,
but you continued on and you played. Did you ever think about what you was gonna be doing next beyond Southern as far as basketball wise? Did you at that time? I mean, did Larry pull you in like, hey man, maybe something overseas or whatever the case is?
no. So my senior year, I think that he tried to kick me off the team, right?
Okay.
So like my senior year, I think he tried to kick me off, and I think he was testing me, right?
Okay.
So he was testing me to see, because we're doing the music stuff, right? I'm like living my best Playboy life at that time, right? Like, so I think that as he started to catch wind of those things, he kind of wanted to figure out, what does this kid want to do? Does he want to just be here running around, or does he want to play basketball, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, or does he want to play for us? And I think he tested me, man, and I think that I passed the test, right? So I'll tell a story. It's a funny one, but we were going to a game early in the season, right? So I'm starting now. We're going to the team early in the season. We get on the bus, right? Somebody else was late or whatever. And I'm like, I'll be right back. I'm gonna get some in my locker. I'll be right back, right? I go to get something in my locker. He leaves.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I'm like, the bus just left, right? So I'm like, I'm tight, I'm hot right now, right? Like, I'm like, as much blooded, because at this point, I done had a whole bunch of like, with them lip is all, but I done bust my face for this dude, you know what I'm saying? Broke my wrist for this guy, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm thinking that I'm doing everything that he needs me to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not knowing that he wanted me to do more, right? And so I get in my car. The game was in Massachusetts. I'm on the highway, like I'm driving like 90, like leave me. So I get to the gym before they even get there, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting on the steps, like nah, like, so this is what we doing, right? And Leary was a really, like, he wasn't a talkative, he wasn't like, I'm your friend kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, okay, you're here. Okay, I see. Get your stuff off the bus. You're not gonna start today, but okay, right? And I was like, I got my stuff off the bus, right? But I'm still hot. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I think it was probably like maybe 3 or 4 games in. I think I played angry the rest of the season. You know what I'm saying? And I probably got to like where I was averaging like maybe 8 and 10. You know what I'm saying? Which probably the most that I've ever averaged at Southern. But I was in there like, give it to me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And and I think that's probably, and we had some good players. Like, we had some good players at that time. And it's like having to refight again, right? Like, and and I earned my spot back, and at the end of it, it was great, because at the end of it, he kind of he's like, yeah, man, like, you started like, your senior year, I could really see like everything was coming together for you. Mm-hmm. He's like, I really think that maybe should have redshirted you your freshman year, right? And I was like, what we're gonna do now? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I was like, that might have been a good idea for us to do that, right? And I was like, at that time, I didn't, like, it's over now. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't have any opportunities to do anything after. At that time, my boy was playing overseas in Germany, right? He went for overseas, so I was in contact with him, and it was always like, yeah, man, I'm over here, man. Like, yo, bro, like, you can come. Like, I see my agent. Maybe you could play in the B League. Because he's my guy. You know what I'm saying? But like, I never really, like, at that time I was in love. Right? So So Capers was in Germany. That's my guy. You know, he played at Bonaventure. He was killing it up there, and you know, like I just wanted to. I was like, maybe I'll try something. I don't know. But at that time, I might have been a little burnt out from playing basketball, and you know, probably a little bit of, you know, in love at that time, right? Like I wanted to, you know, be around my girlfriend at that time, and I don't know what it was, but like it just was in the transition, and we were doing music at that time, which was all another one of my loves. So yeah, I just wasn't thinking about the next chapter, right? Like, you know, and I think that it was probably, you know, it was a lot of transitional time right there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like where you don't really know what's next. And you know, at that time I didn't finish school, and I was like I said, my relationship was in flux, right? Like I wanted to go you know, our rap careers was like starting to plateau, like, you know what I'm saying? And it was just it was tough. It was tough at that time. So, and I think that for me, and you know, you were there. So I mean, you know, it was just a tough time. You know what I'm saying? Like it was just like you didn't know where you want to do, what was gonna happen, how it was gonna work out. It just seemed like all of this, I was going from like being on top of this mountain, right? And everything going great, to then like being like down in this like pit, right? And everything not going great. And I think it's another part in my life where um, it was like you had to like recalibrate and kind of like dig deep, right? And I'm always, so I always say that I'm always thankful, you know, number one, to you for, you know, everything that you've always done for me. And but just to just have real people around you though, like just to kind of like, you know, I think Michael Beasley said this the other day. He was like, people can love you to life or they can love you to death. You know what I'm saying? Like people think, oh, I love you to death, right? Like, right? Like they're just gonna say yes to everything you do, and they're gonna go along with everything you say, right? Like because they just want to be in your good graces, right? But somebody who's gonna love you to life, they're gonna always be real with you. And even when you on some sucker stuff or you ain't doing the right stuff or whatever that is, they're gonna like tell you to get up. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so like that's why I always appreciate, like I said, my friends, you guys, Marcus, you, Tal, like, you know, all my guys, man. Like I've been blessed enough to have people that always kind of like, you know, just kind of like say, man, you know, all right, man, get up. You know what I'm saying? So
that's right.
So you know, that's why.
That's right.
You know.
Interesting. You share a little bit of that as far as that, man. We all these rough patches or what have you, man. But I remember the day you went for a tryout. I mean, whatever little bit of gas you had in the car or fumes you had to do to get somewhere, you know what I mean? You went to it, and then you came back and just shared some news just in regards to one of these nationally renowned teams or what have you, and that you was a Harlem Globetrotter, man. Like,
yeah.
first of all, what made you even go try out and all this other stuff?
Well, this is another crazy story. But like, so you remember, so I was after in this down period, right? Like, I started playing like in leagues, right? So like, started playing in leagues like in Bridgeport, right, in New Haven, and then I met a guy, Ricky Lopes, right? So Ricky Lopes was like, yo, man, like, you want to come play with this Harlem Rockets team, right? Okay. And I was like, all right, man. Well, he's like, yeah, man, it's only for the weekend. We're gonna go to like Springfield, right? We're gonna go play in these 2 games. I want you to dunk the ball a couple times, and you know, you seem like a good guy, and stay out the way, right? Like, so I was like, all right, cool, no problem. So I went up there and I played with the Harlem Rockets, and that then started to like snowball. I started to find a niche there. I got to meet some great guys like, you know, your guy, Brendan, and Rick Mickens, and Donnie Seal, and John, you know, John Magic Dazzy, Rick. I mean, like I said, Rick. And I met another guy named Troy Bradford, right? Who was also another good player. So I got a chance to play with all these like New Haven legends, right? So I say that because I was still in a place where I was getting better, right? So you know, one of the highlights is that I got to work out with Vinny Baker, right? And like, you know, this guy's like, you know, he's a awesome NBA talent. You know what I'm saying? And some of these New Haven legends, like, you know, like Maurice Williamson, and like, you know, Shamont Williams and P.I. and all these guys, right? And then like, you know, so now I'm playing in this Pro-Ams in New London. And so I felt like it was like a rebirth, right? To the love of basketball. And then I was, like I said, I was getting better. Like now, like I was feeling like I was coming into my own, right? So that's kind of like what prepared me for that. Cause really, honestly, right? Like at that time, I might have been like 26, right? When I finally got to try out with the Globetrotters, right? And like you said, like took my last couple coins, flew on out to St. Louis, drove out there, and, you know, tried to, you know, try it out. And I think that without that period in my life, right, to get to kind of like get back to, I love playing basketball and, you know, playing with these guys who are really good, it kind of set me up to have that weekend that I had there, right? Because I had the best weekend that I ever had. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm playing against kids that are coming out of D1 programs, right? That are playing overseas or just trying to, you know, whatever. Like, because that was like Manny Jackson's like philosophy. Like, I want to get the best players in the world play with the Globetrotters. And at that time, it was ultra competitive. And like I said, I probably had the best weekend of my life playing there. So
now, do y'all play pickups again? This could be the asshole Ib in me right here. I mean, outside of, I mean, y'all just playing, you know, running fulls or doing drills, or, you know, I mean, I know some showmanship in there, so it wasn't like y'all was doing like glitter tosses and that. You know,
no. So so playing with the Rockets, right? So at a certain point, right, and then like I said, it's all those guys, right? Like, you know, you had guys that were just constantly like, yo, Swoop, you're good at this. You got a good personality, right? And then I was like, okay. Then at this point in my life, I realized that if you got to put that work in to get there, right? So now I'm on some stuff like, I'm going to learn how to spin the ball every which way I can, right? I'm going to learn how to master the skits and the comedy and the timing. And I'm going to throw all the trick shots. And I felt like this is what would propel me to the Harlem Globetrotters, right? They're going to come find me because I can make people laugh and do these tricks and do these trick shots, right? So when I went there for the tryout, it's actually, you know, funny because this guy named Tex Harrison, we all sitting down, right? Maybe about 100 people, right? And all these players, we're all sitting down, and he goes, he says, I mean, like, good guys just to hear, like, you know, so he said, looks up to us, he says, he got this old country accent. He's like, I don't know what you thought this was, but we ain't looking for no clowns, nothing like that. And I'm like, oh, okay. So maybe I'm in the wrong place, right? He's like, we ain't looking for nobody that we are basketball players first. So if you think you're gonna come here and you're gonna do some of this buffoonery, right? it ain't gonna work, right? You're gonna have to come here. You gotta earn the right to be a Globetrotter. So I'm like, oh, okay, right? So then it became a like a damn near NBA workout, right?
With the trials with the Globetrotters, I know you just talked about. I mean, just mentioning how it was more of an NBA workout than anything.
Yeah, yeah. So definitely, the guy came in there. He was kind of like, look, like this is not what we're here for. We're here to play basketball, and it was really good because I think that I was ready, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I played. I had a great first day, and we came in the second day. Um, when I came in that second day, it was like they started to like tear us off, like how they do it, at workouts, right? So you could start to tell, like, oh, this is these people don't got a chance over here, right? And these people might got a shot, right? And so like I'm so now we're with like all the top tier, the cream of the crop of the camp, right?
Mm.
And and then they brought in these heavy hitters, right? So these guys were already on the team,
Mm.
and like, so now the level of competition was like at another level when it stepped up on the second day. So those guys from like Western Kentucky, University of Tennessee, Memphis, right? Like, and so now I'm like, oh, okay, this is turned up a little. So I still played well the second day, but you could tell like it was kind of like I'm at the time I think I was like 26 or something like that. I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't a young spring chicken anymore, right? And I was okay with it. Like I walked out of there like, you know, um, I gave it all I had. I felt good about it, and I actually had an opportunity to talk to that same guy I was telling you about, Tex Harrison, and I was telling him like, I still play, but I really wanted to do the showman stuff like Meadowlark Lemon,
Mm-hmm.
and he was kind of like, you know, he was kind of like, I don't know what the word went, like dismissive, right? He was like,
Okay.
man, get up out of here, man. You don't know nothing about none of that. So I was like, all right, well, I said, well, if you could help me just get better, right? I know you've been in this business for over 50 years, right? Like,
Yeah.
just take a look at some of these videos I have and tell me if you think I'm on the right track or I need to kind of like readjust and it was great because, when I sat down with him, he was kind of like, he sat down, this old guy, man, like
Yeah.
he sat down, he's like looking at me over his shoulder. I'm like, I was on the computer, like, pulling up the file and everything. And when he was done, he was like, son, you got it, son. You got it. And I was
Yeah.
like, got what? He's like, you got it. You I
Yeah.
said, oh my, I said, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, man, you're gonna work out fine. I'm gonna help you out. You're gonna be my protege, da da da. And I'm like, he's like, so I just kind of seemed like he was like blowing smoke, right?
Right. Right.
And I was like, oh, okay, cool, cool, cool. And he's like, I'm gonna tell Amanda Jackson about you tonight. And I said, all right, okay, all right. So I didn't like in my mind, I kind of felt like it was some, it was fugazi, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then when I was flying out the next day, I saw him at the airport. And no, I saw Manny Jackson first at the airport. And I went up to Manny and I was like, I want to just thank you for the opportunity of letting me try out, right? Just being a, whatever. And he was like, what's your name? And I said, Dwayne Simpson, they call me Swoop. And he's like, yeah, Tex told me about you. We're going to be calling you. And I said,
Mm.
what do you mean? I said, he's like, yeah, he said he saw some video. He said that you're good. We're going to make you an offer. And I was like, now I'm doing cartwheels in the airport. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
really?
Oh
So,
yeah.
so, it was really good, man. So, and one of the best experiences that I would say I had in my life, man, um, it was short lived, right? But I was able to perform in front of thousands. I went to almost probably 35 countries now
Mm.
doing that. So it was a lot of fun, Ib. It was a lot of fun.
Nah, and it's crazy because you continued on as far as just doing this or what have you, man. Like it's basketball,
Yeah.
or I mean, obviously, with a twist or two too, but it's still basketball. Something you did as a kid and weathered through, whether it's high school, college. Now you playing, you, you get to see the world, man. I
Yeah.
mean, and not
Yeah.
only with the Globetrotters, obviously the Rockets before that, and obviously the Wizards, we had probably your longest stint at, but
Yeah.
just about even you getting into these communities as well too, man. Like how was that part of it? Because again, I know you got the game itself, but it's the pregame and the postgame, so to speak. You like in the
Right.
schools, you promoting,
Right.
but you got these kids that are in awe. You like they get to pretty much touch you versus these big stadiums where they can't even get near play. Like just how was everything all encompassing? How
Yeah.
was all of that?
So, and I would say like with the Globetrotters, that was kind of like the two things that I would say you're in a big stadium and we're doing it with the Rockets before we were like in high school gyms, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you had that experience where more kids and more families could come and kind of touch you in a sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they can come and, interact with you and get them an autograph. They're like, oh my gosh, you're my favorite, right? And you kind of have that, right? There's a lot of that, right? You're on the ground, I would say. Um, and then the involvement, like being able to, with the Rockets and with the Wizards, being able to like have like creative control of
Mm-hmm.
like how you wanted the show to go, right? Like, and kind of like, steering the ship during the show and kind of catering to the crowds and stuff like that. So that with the Wizards, I think is like how it kind of climaxed, it kind of reached that kind of apex, right? Because I was able to have that creative control, right? And then we had those kind of interactions. Um, we do the promotions for the games. We come to the game. We have pre-game activities with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously we have autograph sessions at the end, and it's just rewarding. Like, anything that you do good in your life, and you can sit back and you can look and you can say to yourself, man, I'm doing something good, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's positive and I'm putting this good energy into the world. And then you can see kids come back 2 3 years later and I remember you and I saw you here again.
Yeah.
It's like it's really good that you're having that kind of impact on people. I would say I don't do no, we did a game. I don't know, you know about the Sandy Hook thing. So remember Marcus hooked us up with that,
Mm-hmm.
um, uh, to do that event for those kids and those families in Sandy Hook after that, um, the tragedy that happened
Mm-hmm.
there. And I mean, tears in the corner of my eyes, right?
Yeah.
The people is crying, and they're like, "You don't understand how much joy you brought to this community." And it was closed. It was a closed gym, right? Only available to the people in the community.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they, gave away free tickets. We gave away tons of free stuff so that kids, like, it wasn't about that. It was just about like bringing that joy to that community. And it's moments like that that I love because you impact people in that way, and you're using basketball as a catalyst to kind of
Yeah.
inspire people. So now they start to love basketball, and now you see kids who never even picked the ball up before, like start dribbling and having fun. So it's great. It's great.
Did you, obviously doing all of this, did you have like again, I know athletes in particular, man, they don't know they don't ever know when or just kind of don't want to face the realization, excuse me, like clock's gonna hit 0000, it's gonna be it. So did you ever think about like when all this was done, what you was gonna do next, or you just kind of figured it out as you went along?
So I kind of, I so I had the opportunity with the Wizards to have some ownership, right?
Okay.
And so that kind of gave me, because with everything there's a shelf life, right? Right,
Right.
like, so eventually you're gonna get too old to dunk, right? You ain't gonna want to be running up in no court no more. You want to be home with your family.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the ownership was big for me because I knew it was gonna give me longevity, but I still wanted to have the opportunity to tap into some other things. So, as you know, I went to school for computer science, and I was dibbing and dabbling in all these different, I remember, I don't remember when I was building a computer
Right.
to refurbish stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
so I was still interested in that. And I said to myself, worst case scenario, if I needed something, so I went back to school,
Mm.
and I got my degree in information technology, right?
Nah, good stuff.
And so I finished that up. So it's also an accomplishment. You want to like, you know, when you're in that pit and you're digging yourself out, you kind of leave some stuff behind, right? You're like, yo, man, like this is one thing that I wanted to cross off my list, right? Get that degree for my moms and my fam, right?
Yeah, yeah,
That's an
absolutely.
ib bar right there, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So um, yeah, so I was able to do that, and now I'm just trying to. I have a couple of ventures here where I'm trying to build a software development company
Okay.
to build some apps and to do stuff like that. So right now it's on the side, but I feel like I can get that percolating, right?
Mm-hmm.
And double dip later, do the wizard stuff, or you know, be less on the road. I got a kid now, so it's
Mm.
it's it's yeah, it's important to me to kind of build a legacy for my family now.
Nah, nah, most definitely, man. Even with even with the whole sports thing, man, like playing ball, man, what has it given you that sticks with you to this day?
Wow. You learn so much, right?
Yeah.
Like about life through sports. I mean, I think we were talking about earlier, right? And I was telling you about like perseverance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that was a hard lesson, right? Like quitting on yourself, right? And then somebody holding you accountable for it, right? And you it ain't nowhere to hide, right? So you
Mm.
ain't like, so now you got to kind of look at yourself and say, is this who I am? Right? Like, and it reveals your character, man. Like your, I think that sports, it gave me toughness, perseverance, resiliency, um, and then being able to work with other people, and you know, so I think it's just, I mean, I would be nowhere without this game of basketball, right? I mean, I won't say nowhere because I'm sure I would find something else to do, right? But like,
Right,
you know
right.
what I mean? But like, it's basically shaped and cultivated who I am as a person, and my intentions. You know, also that it teaches you to be intentional, and that's something that I had to learn over the course of time, right? Like, we spoke about this earlier about just being just kind of being happy that you in the room, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? But you know, you can swing a hammer for 8 hours, but if you ain't trying to build nothing, right,
Yeah, yeah.
you're doing it in vain, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so you got to have some intentions of what you're doing. And I learned that along this journey. Like, you can put your head down and just keep pushing, but if you don't know where you're going,
Mm-hmm.
right, and how you're gonna get there, and set some goals for yourself, and be intentional. I think that's another thing that kind of helped me to build and to understand in life that, you know, if you want to be successful, you have to be intentional, right?
Mm-hmm. Nah, nah, that's real, man. Sure. Uh, Put you on the spot here, man. On the back end of all of this, man. Some random, some not so random here.
Yeah,
If you with it.
I'm hit it. I'm with it. Let's get it.
Cool, cool, cool. Obviously, being a Jersey guy, man. Y'all, Parkway to Turnpike.
Turnpike, exit 9. You know what
All
it
right.
is.
Okay. Great Adventure Action Park.
Great adventure. Great adventure. Great adventure. Too many memories. Too many memories.
Speaking of the Turnpike, what exit is it?
Exit 9, of course, my brother. You already know New Brunswick.
No, Great Adventure.
Oh, 7A, baby.
Oh, all right. Just wanted to test you. Just wanted to test you. Just wanted to test you. Snowfall or Power?
Snowfall. Snowfall. Gotta go with my man. Gotta go with Snowfall.
Twitter or IG?
Instagram. Instagram.
Okay, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Trilogy or Third and One?
Ah, ah, that's a toughie. That's a toughie. That's a toughie because like Trilogy was so organic, man. Like it was like in the dorm room, it on two turntables,
Nah,
right? Like
trying to be on 210. Yeah, man.
you know what I'm saying? Like in the quad rapping, like that's like the. But then Third and One, like we just made so much good music, right? Like
Yes.
when I'm just saying, like I still listen, like people, yeah, as we get older, like, some people like to listen to rap music. I don't mind it, right?
Right,
But
right.
like, I just like the music from our era, right? So,
Mhm.
so I put our tapes in, I put our CDs on,
Tapes, yeah.
you know what I mean? And I'm listening to Nas and the first, all that old stuff, right?
Mhm.
Like, so I would definitely say Trilogy 31.
Yeah, yeah, nah, man. We had a blast, man, doing all that stuff, and people probably fall out their chair. They be like, "You used to rap or what have you," and you quiet, reserved. I was that back then too, but it was just like just having fun, man. Whether it was school or here's a place for you, Georgetown.
Of course, 100%.
And then being up in these clubs, having an opportunity to do some of that stuff as well too, man. So it was a blast, and I think just hearing yourself on the radio, even though it
Yeah.
was more around the way, I mean, it was a joy. It definitely was a joy. Even with that, yep.
Yo,
Go ahead,
yeah,
go
like
ahead.
it's like think about it, right? Like the brotherhood, right, that we had, like or we have, right? That was exuded, and you could tell. Right? So we keeping it real, right? Like there's
Hmm.
like there was a certain like time where like what I'm saying, everything was like it was just so like good,
Yeah.
right? Like like we ain't had nobody had no cares in life. We were just making music, right?
Hmm.
Like I'm gonna give you a name right now. I think his name is it Jut, right?
Hmm.
Do you remember that time we drove to Newark and we was in the basement and he
Yeah.
was playing the beats and he gave us the tape after and we riding back and we like this is crazy, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's come on, man, come on.
Nah, it was a blast, man. Like you said, from brotherhood to everything else it entailed, man. Favorite favorite 31 song.
Uh, uh Streets.
Okay.
Ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom.
Yeah.
I like that one. I'm gonna say I like the song about our mothers because I thought it was like real and unfiltered, like just raw. Like I like that one. I like
Interesting you say that. I know I'm cutting you off here,
yeah,
man,
yeah. No, go ahead,
but
go
it's
ahead.
interesting. It's interesting you say that. You probably got one of a favorite swoop line. It was probably from that song. It was you may not always been right, but you was never wrong.
That's a fact. That's a
When you
fact.
talk about your mom, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, I done stole that on a couple of occasions, man. Yeah,
that's a fact. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Nah,
That's yeah, that's a fact. Yeah, she was she was trying her best, man, and doing the best that she knew how, right?
that's right.
Like, what I'm saying? And, you know, you can't fault anybody for that. You know.
Hmm.
I think the greatest thing is wow. So I think the greatest thing, man, another great thing is I got a chance to like kind of reconnect with my dad. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And just chop it up and have like some real conversations with him.
Hmm.
And you know, he was, trying to make it on himself, right? Like,
Hmm.
what I'm saying? And then to hear that from him, right? Like, I thought it was he just trying to do what he thought was gonna be right for himself and, in
Yeah.
his future. And,
Hmm.
that's I think we all kind of like that, right? We just taking it day by day, month
Yes.
by month.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man, look, yeah, we probably got a song for everything you talk about. Nah, absolutely, man. Now you're 6'7".
6'6", 6'7" on a good day. Right?
All
Yeah,
right, because I just wanted to make sure, what I mean, obviously you was went by 6'6". I was
Yeah.
trying to just figure like, well, what's the accuracy around his height here
Yeah,
years
yeah, yeah.
later.
I think I'm like 6'6". Like, you know what I'm saying? But like, if I'm feeling good, I'm like 6'7". You know what I'm
Okay,
saying?
nah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. Now, where the name Swoop come from?
oh, that's a good. It's a goodie. All right. So I told you when I came back from North Carolina, right? Now I'm starting to dunk a little bit. I'm
Mm-hmm.
getting a little bit like I'm not totally I'm not totally like, can walk and chew gum yet, but I can put some spurts together, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the coach is like, we're doing this drill in practice, and the coach is like, all right, man, like I want you guys to be able to turn and face, take one dribble, and get to the hole, right? And score, right? So, I'm doing this drill. So now we attaching the ball to the top of the key, and I turn face. Everybody's going through the circle. Turn face, take one step, dribble, bong bong, and I'm just trying to jump. Like some end
Yeah.
up like jumping like a step in the free throw line, right? And I'm long and lanky, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm gonna dunk this ball, and I'm not gonna dunk this ball, right? So now you turn it over to do the finger roll,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you like reach into the basket, and then my coach was like, "It's like he's swooping through the air, right?"
Okay. Okay.
And then my boy DC was like, "Yeah, he's swooping through the air, swoop dog, right?" And then it
Mm.
just kind of stuck from there. So then, everybody was like, "Swoop!" So when I started dunking in that, that's my sophomore in the
Mm.
JV. That's when people were like, "Swoop,
O-
swoop!"
Okay. Remember your first dunk in the game?
Yeah, it was in JV. Yep, JV.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, just banging that joint on somebody.
Yeah.
Like it was good back. I mean, like I said, back in them days, it was good because I had the 1 foot. I wasn't a 2 foot jumper,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I just had the 1 foot stride, right? So I would say my best dunk, right? Um, Middlesex County Finals,
Okay.
right? We're playing what was that gym at? I think it was Middlesex County College. I think it was right.
Mm-hmm.
Playing Perth Amboy, no Piscataway Tech, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ended I think like end of the second quarter or first, I don't forget what it was, but sometime, and I'm coming down on the left side, right? My mom's came to like 4 games
Mm-hmm.
in my whole life, right? So this is the game she's at, right? So now I'm like, yo, I'm gonna try to show her like I can actually play basketball now, right? So
Yeah.
I get this ball. So give you some visuals here. So these are so remember I told you I wore these contacts, right? But then
Mm-hmm.
my coach, he would wanted me to wear the rec specs, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I had the rec specs, right? And so I had the long socks, which I got from my friends when I met them at in 5 Star from DC. So I
Mm-hmm.
started wearing the long
Oh
socks,
yeah. That's what
right?
they did down there. Yeah.
Right. So I started rocking the long socks, right? I got a size 16. I weigh about 165 pounds, right? So like I'm long, lanky, rec specs, long socks, big feet. Come down on the left hand side. My man, G right, da da da, penetrate, shuffle back the pass, right? The dude comes from the weak side. I think he thinks he's gonna try to block it, right? And like I just extendo on him.
Mm.
Ah! Right? Boom! Right? Dunk, he falls. I'm
Mm.
standing over him, right? I'm like, ah, right.
Yeah.
My boys come over, they hit me, throwing me around, and dunk and one. And it's crazy because my boy DC found the footage, right?
Of
And he's
that
like,
one. Of that. Yeah.
yeah, that plays like, yo, man, I got the footage, right? And I'm
Mm.
like, it's crazy. So when you look at it, it's like, look at this young kid, man, just, you know, I mean, let me ask you a question real quick.
Let
What
me
was your
ask real
favorite?
quick. Real quick. Let me ask real quick. With
Yeah,
that, you make the free throw.
I did
Okay.
make the free throw. I
Okay.
did make the free
Yeah.
throw. And I'm a
Now,
terrible free throw shooter. Right.
yeah, yeah. Now go ahead. What about that?
Man, so I'm asking, what was your favorite sport? Would you say football, basketball, baseball?
Ah, probably as crazy as it sounds. I mean, probably was today. It might change tomorrow. Today, I would probably say I'll probably say basketball.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'll probably say basketball. Tomorrow might be something else, but I'll probably say,
Yeah, I loved it, man, because I like I just felt free playing the game. You know what I'm
mm-hmm,
saying? I don't know if that makes sense, right? But like it's like all the weight of the world, you don't care anything about it, right? It's like it's about this moment, this time,
mm-hmm.
what you put into it, right? Like you get back on D, you run the floor. It's all right here, encapsulated in this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I loved it. I loved the game, and thank God I was able to play for so long and have so much fun
Nah,
doing it.
absolutely. Uh, put your Southern hat on for a quick second. We're up in Town Hall. Vern or Barber?
Barber kept it real.
Yeah, yeah, nah. Rest in peace too. I know she
Yeah,
passed
rest in
away.
peace. Bob was like, "What you doing, boy?" I was like, "Yo,
Yeah,
hey Bob, I need some extra macaroni and hamburger, right?" She be like, "Give me a tray." Put the put it in there and stuff.
yeah,
Like, yo, she would hook it up, man. She hook it up. She kept it real.
yeah. Now, Harlem Rockets, Harlem Wizards, or Harlem
Ooh,
Globetrotters?
gotta be the Harlem. Ah, they're gonna hate me for this one. They're gonna hate me for this one. I'm gonna say Harlem Rockets,
Mm,
and I'm gonna say why because it was like a birth, right?
okay.
Like, and we didn't know what we was doing,
Yeah.
right? So I gotta give a big shout out to my boy KC. You know, um, he was the announcer during the time, and we were just good friends, and we were just making it up, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Kind of
and we just
freestyling as you go, huh?
freestyling and just
Yeah.
like, and whatever we thought was funny, right?
Mm,
And so that kind of like petri dish of
mm-hmm.
of an experience, that creating and like I think was the best. I mean, I like the other. I would say all the other teams is great, right? I had a great time. I'm still having a great time with the Wizards, um, but that's the only thing that gives it an edge, right? Like
Mm,
you know, it was that it was just we were young, we were chasing something,
yeah.
right? Like, and you know, another big shout out to the guys that were there on that team. Donnie Seal, he was a great mentor, and he was kind of like he always was just kind of just helping me to kind of like perfect my craft, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
so I got to be grateful for all of them because all of those guys, Brendan, Donnie, Rick, Don Dazzy, um, Cookie Head, like Casey, all of them, the finisher, like the blender, Kenny Rodriguez,
Mm,
like all of them guys, we were just young
yeah.
and trying to do something that ain't nobody did before,
Mm-hmm.
So
Now, speaking of those experiences, favorite country?
Greece, I would
Yeah.
say. Greece because it
Greece.
was clean,
Yeah.
right? And the people were nice, right? They were accepting. The nightlife was good.
Mm-hmm.
The food was good. And then
Mm-hmm.
they had like the cult, like we got a chance to go see like the Parthenon and Socrates' temple, and I mean
Yeah.
Zeus's temple. And so you're like seeing all this stuff that you like, you couldn't even imagine that you would have seen, like, because you only see stuff on TV, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I never think I was gonna be going nowhere. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it was great.
Yeah. St. Peter's or Southern?
St. Peter's High School.
Yeah.
My high school is, we're come on now.
Mhm.
My high school days was like, are we talking about basketball? Or are we
However
talking?
you however you see it.
Nah, like our team was our. I love Southern, right? But this St. Peter's is it's that's like my heart right there. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that I can't. The guys that I played with, like, you know what I'm saying? Like the friendships that, because these are friends that you have when you ain't you're
Mm-hmm.
just a regular guy, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and those friendships will last forever, man. Like, and I mean, yeah, I mean, and what they helped me become, like, it's St. Peter's is and they knocked it down too, man. So I can't even go back there and you know what I'm saying,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
you know. But it's that time in my life, it was yeah, it's you know, they nurtured me to you know, the
Mm.
coaching staff, right? Like they like, you know, this is these people I talk to still today. My coaches call me and be like, yo, you good? Everything's all right? How you feeling?
Yeah.
Right? Like, let me give you every time I see Coach Green, he's still coaching me at
Yeah.
40 something years old, like giving me life advice, right? Like
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
those type of people, you know what I mean? They care about your family, you know what I'm saying, where you going, and like, you know what I mean? Like that's just it's a different level of level, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? So
Nah. Best game you ever played in your life on any level? Is this one that sticks out?
so I had some good like pro-am games, but
Yeah.
under like a like you know, college or high school, I would probably say it was that game that I played in that I played for the county champion, because it meant so much, right? It
Yeah.
was for the chip, right? I had a double, had like 4 blocks. My mom's was there.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
interviewed me. You know what I mean? I think it was the Star Ledger
Oh,
and then News 12 or something like that. I'm sitting there like, you know, because they wasn't interviewing me, right? We had, you know, all these other guys that was averaging 19, 20, right? So for me to have like 15 and 12 and then like 3 blocks and then like, you know, my mom's just sitting in the thing while they interviewing me.
Yeah.
You know, that's you know, like
Yeah. You can't beat that. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
win the chip. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
like, you know.
Yeah. Have you defined made it, but somebody who should have made it.
Say that one more time. You kind of broke up.
Somebody who should have made it. However you define made it.
Wow. I know a lot. I mean, I'll give you two of my top two. Um, my first one, I mentioned about how coming to New Haven, like I saw some of the like, I don't know. You're from Jersey, so you understand. Like I was delusional. Like I thought like the best basketball players were in New Jersey and New York, right?
Yeah,
I was like,
far from it, but yeah, far from
I was like, yo, like, you know what I mean? We grew up in, you know, you saw like, you know, Felipe Lopez and God Sham God, these are Stephon Marbury, they all in our class, right? So like I'm saying to myself like Tim Thomas, and I'm
yeah,
like saying to myself like, yo, are we playing the best basketball here? And then when I got to Connecticut, I was like, oh no, the ballers are everywhere,
that's
right?
right, that's right.
So there's a kid, I'm calling him, he's a grown man. So there's a grown man named Bobby Moore, right? I don't know if you heard of this guy.
Nah, the name's been brought up before, so nah, yeah.
This guy, so when I came to Southern, he might have been a sophomore in high school. They would have the open gyms, and those Hill House guys would come in through the side door, right? And I was like, where's this kid? Is like, he's like a bulldog, right?
Yeah.
Like relentless. Like he's coming at you like you at his mercy. You know what I'm saying? And then his competitive drive, and it's like, you know, so every time I saw him play, when he was in high school. I saw him play, you know, as he started to get older, he started playing in the parks and playing in all these leagues. And I saw him playing pro-ams
Yeah.
against pros, right? And I mean, you know, that guy, like, by hands down, I would say probably like you know, he's one of the top 5 guards that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And definitely somebody who I thought should have, you know, at the least should have had a prolific college career. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that guy. And then my other guy, man. So I don't know if you heard his name before. Gordon Malone. You ever heard of Gordon Malone?
Nah.
So they call him Gordy for 40, right? So this guy was just, you could call him kids. He's not kids. This guy's a grown man too. So Gordy is about 6'1", 6'9", 6'10".
Okay.
He's got the skill set of Tim Duncan, right? Athletic ability, I would say like Kevin Garnett, right? He's from Brooklyn. He went to West Virginia, right? He averaged a double there, got drafted after his sophomore year to the Minnesota Timberwolves, right? And it didn't work. It didn't pan out for him, right? But if you've seen a guy like that, like a guy who could face up, we're talking about, like, we're not talking about, because now we have players like that, right? We have your Giannis's, you have like, but at that time, late '90s, there wasn't, big guys were still big guys, right? So when you got guys like, like I said, Vin Baker or like Gordon that could I call them getting small and getting big, right? Where you can get small, get in the lane, tiptoe through that joint, then get big and then yam it on somebody's head. You know what I mean? Like he was unbelievable. So they call him Gordy for 40 because nobody can stop him in New York City, right? Like he gets 40 in every tournament that he's in, right? Like, I mean, only person that can stop Gordon Malone, and he knows it, is Gordon Malone, right? And that's his, obviously, his crutch. You know what I mean? But he's a great guy. I love Gordy to death. One of my good friends as well. And he's just a guy. I think he should have made it.
Best basketball player you've seen at Southern?
You call these are toughies right here. These are toughies, Steve. That I've seen at Southern. The best. This is a tough one.
Oh, you know what? I'll help you out. Your Southern all-time starting five.
My Southern all-time starting five.
It could be positionless.
Oh man, I would go with. So this is during my time or people that I've seen?
You seen your time? Yeah.
All right, so I gotta put Will Cadiz in there. I'm gonna go with what I've seen, right?
Okay.
I gotta put Will Cadiz in there because I've never seen a guy like this with this kind of skill. He's not athletic, right? He's just crafty. And when I came up for my visit, we playing. I had, obviously I had to stick him, right, because he's a 4, and I had nothing. I had, he's killing, right? I gotta give. I'm gonna go with Will Cadiz. I'm gonna go with David Grenade. David Grenade was nice as well. I'm gonna go with TJ Tromboli. His resume is just this is crazy. So
that's three. That's three.
I got Will. I got David Grenade. I got to go with Jermaine Carter, man. Like Tree was just about his business, man. And okay, so
it's part of the fun, man. It's part of the fun, man.
I apologize to everybody else, but the fifth guy is going to be Tim Green. I said it, all right? Tim Green was like unselfish, can do 1 through 3, maybe even 4 if he wanted to. He was so I'm going to go with that, right? Tim Tromboli, Tim Green, Jermaine Carter, Will Cadiz, and David Grenade. That's my top 5.
Yeah. No Jared, huh?
I like Jared. Jared's good, right? But like,
well, this your 5. Let me shut up. That's your 5. So.
I like Jared Lewis. He gets buckets. He can score, right? I just I like David better. I think David was like David was and it's a certain way I like that these guys played the game, right? Like so I admire them how they played it, like how they're like how they play. And David was just tough. Yeah. And I'm not saying Jared wasn't tough. Jared was tough too, but he was just tough, and then he knew how to like, get you the ball or like, like all these good stuff. So David was good. I'm gonna stick with David on that
Nah, definitely. Best part about being Dwayne Simpson.
one. The best part is I'm okay with me now. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm,
some people ain't okay with themselves, right?
yeah.
Like, and you still fighting those demons. And I think that the best part about me now is that I've become self-aware, right? I know my triggers. I know what I struggle with, right? So I think the best part about me is that, um, yeah, I can like look myself in the mirror and know that I'm giving love and I'm loving myself and I'm there for people and
Hmm.
so I think that yeah I don't want to say self because I don't selfless is like I don't want to say that because it's too I think I can I don't want to say that but like I think that I care about people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I care about people, and I think that I understand what I need to give in relationships in order to be try to be the best that I can be in that. Right? So
Mm.
so I guess
Speaking of relationships, you just formed a new relationship within this last year, man.
yeah,
Congrats on the son here. And it's still early,
yeah.
but what's the best part about being a father, man?
Oh man, looking at your son and looking in his face, man, like I take that back. Not me looking at him, but him looking at me. Right? So like
Hmm.
right now it's a priceless moment. You take your child, you're laying down in the bed, you put him on your chest, and he looks at you with these eyes of like, and then and then he'll like look at you and he'll start to smile like he recognizes you, like like it's my dad, right?
Yeah.
Like you can't you. It's been a long journey to get here,
Hmm.
and I thank God I'm blessed that I can experience fatherhood, and I hope that I'm sure there's going to be many more moments. He's turned 6 months today, and
Good stuff.
it's just it's that it's yeah, it's great. It's great, So
Enjoy it all, every minute of it, even the not so good moments, and
mhm,
find a way to enjoy those too, and take it in this go, man. Have fun.
yeah,
Have
yeah.
fun, man. What book on your life? What would you call it?
Tears of a Clown.
I mean, ain't no copyright stuff going on with Smokey and the Miracles or nothing, is it? Or anybody with Motown? Ain't no.
Right. Yeah, that's all we call it though. Tears of a Clown, man. Like, you know, I think there's another, when I talk about being self-aware, I think that there's such a big part of my life that, you know, I wanted to you want to please people. I think I'm a people pleaser, right?
Mhm.
And so people really only look at you a certain way. They only look at you as, you know, what they can get out of you or what you're giving them, right? And they don't sometimes, whatever's going on, that undercurrent that's going on, people not even they don't even see that. So,
Mhm.
I would if I wrote a book about myself, like I would talk about that. Like I
Yeah.
would talk about those insecurities, those um because what you see the facade is the big smiley face, right? The baby face kid, right? Like that's happy to be there and happy, you know what I mean? But like really, you know, underneath, not just myself, but all of us, we
Yeah.
we struggle with, not feeling accepted or, you know, yeah, struggle with some abandonment stuff, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like, so just kind of, how that affected me and, how we try to overcompensate for that. So, that's why I think I would call it that.
Yeah. Good stuff, man. What advice? I mean, obviously the hopes you got a whole lot of living to do here, man. But at this point in your life, what advice would you give that 17, 18-year-old, actually I take in this case, starting the senior year, 16-year-old Dwayne here? What advice would you give?
Um, I would say love life, right? Keep smiling, kid, right? You know, let that happiness that you have in your heart, shine out. Um, as a basketball player, I would tell them work on your jump shot. You know
Mm-hmm,
what I'm saying?
mm-hmm.
Like get in the gym. Like um, um, in in relationships, I would tell them keep loving, but you know, be true to your be true to yourself and
Yeah,
who you are. Like
mm,
you know, that's what I would say. Like
yeah.
yeah.
What would your parents say about you now?
Ah, my mom would say, Dwayne, I'm proud of you. Right? Yeah. My mom's just proud of me, man. She's proud that, I think I continually try to seek that acceptance from her. Like,
Mm,
I'm doing good, mom. I'm all right. Right.
yeah.
Um, Same thing with her. She's probably still trying to push me to higher limits, and as any parent should do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think my dad would also say that I turned out well, right? Like, you know, despite the, whatever. But like, yeah, I think he would say that. He would say, yeah, I would say they would be proud. They would be
Yeah.
proud.
Nah, so speaking of proud, man, put me on that list too, man. And I know before you jumped on here, I just I said so. I just like granted, obviously it wasn't childhood friends and friends in high school have, but one way or another, man, we still found we grew up together a little bit. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I'm very appreciative of just this connection that we have here, man. And one of my honors that I've had in my life, man. You asked me to be in your wedding party. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was just like, I was taken back by that, man. Like I said, that's one of my biggest honors in his life of mine here, man. So thank you for even trusting me to, be a part of that, knowing I can't dance. You know what I mean? But outside of that, man, I just appreciate everything, man. The journey that I've seen you on, the not so good times, but they make for better times when everything plays itself out here, man. So, nah, I just wanted to say thank you for all you've done and what you've meant to me, man. So I appreciate it.
I know you want to have this last word and you want to, but I gotta say this,
Uh
man.
oh,
Like,
I'm gonna
I'm
end
just,
this now, man. Nah, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
I'm just saying, man. We doing official thanks. We have to. I mean, like we doing official thanks. We have to say thank you to Ib. Like, like, let's, let's just keep it 100 right now, right? Like, you have my back in probably the darkest time in my life,
Mm,
right? You know what I'm saying? Like when nobody, I'm not saying nobody. I'm just saying like, but you knew at that time it was tough, right? And for you to number one open your home to me and to say, "Hey, Soup, I got you," right? There's no amount of gratitude that I can give. It's too much, right? Like
nah.
I mean, it's too much. It's too much, right? So you, my friend, I know you try to play this like silent, strong type, right? Like you just be chilling, like, but like I know, I see you in. You know what I'm saying? Like You are a real caring, loving, loyal individual, right? And I know that we have not always seen eye to eye. I'm sure there's some stuff that I've done that you've been like,
That's life though, man. It's part
that's
of it,
life,
man.
right? But I think that when you look at the total picture, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that you're a great guy, man. I know you're a great father. I know you're a great husband, and I thank you because we look. I say we because we all did. Me, Marcus, Tal, we all looked up you like a big brother, right? Like, yo, what is say, right? You know what I'm saying?
That's
Like,
funny. That's funny.
so you know, so we thank you for that, man. Like, so my official thanks goes right back to you.
Nah,
Right?
that's peace, man. That's peace. And I appreciate that, man. I just think about, man, we ran out of gas together, man. I remember walking to the damn gas station with a gas container, man,
Yeah,
from the highway, man. So that's one of many, many, many things here. But thank you, man. I appreciate those words, man. I appreciate that's peace, man.
all
Thank
right,
you,
man.
man. I know looking forward to what's next, man. So like I said, just keep me posting on this journey of yours and everybody from the wife to everybody, man. I'm looking forward to what's next, man. We just getting started.
Right. Well, I love you, bro. Thank you
Back
so
at you.
much, man.
Back at you.
Um, if, everybody watching this, you guys want any software development? Hit me up.
Absolutely, absolutely. You got everything up and running?
We're working on a couple apps right now. I got one.
Okay.
It's a wrestling app that we're working, and we're doing an app with the Harlem Wizards called the Wiz Fit Challenge. So
Mm-hmm.
we're working to build that out as well. Um, do websites and all that good stuff. So
Absolutely.
um, yeah,
Uh,
so it should be good.
Swoop. We'll talk, man. Thank you.
Salute.
Nah,
In
back at you,
Skibibble.
man. Back
In
at you, man.
Faricelli.
Oh man.
Skibibble.
I got a million names, man.
Right.
Million names, man.
I be.
We'll talk, family.
Definitely, definitely. All right.
All right, no doubt.
Bye.
Peace. Great stuff. Great stuff. Some things I didn't even know about Swoop here, man. But for him to just, open up and just talk a little bit, man, I'm very appreciative of that. And all these years, man, I'm able to still talk to him and reach out to him and even to just say what's up or whatever the case is, man. Like great guy, man. Swoop, continued success and everything, man. With that being said, man, I'm just gonna step aside. I put my hand over my heart. That means I feel you. Yeah.